the nation's leader's first official duties as chairman of CARICOM. Find out what he had to say at the International CELAC Forum from Beijing.
President of Galleria Cinema speaking out on the reported hike in ticket prices at the local cinema. That story straight ahead.
And in sports, Night League basketball hits the hard court. We've got the highlights. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The Bahamas makes a plea that is, to China, Latin and Central American countries to respond to the serious issues facing the Caribbean region. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kendino Knowles.
And I'm Charisma Robinson. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie talked trade, investment, expansion of tourism, education, air services and maritime cooperation as he represented the region at his first official duty as chairman of CARICOM. And while these regional issues are similar to bilateral talks with the Bahamas and China, Mr. Christie is optimistic that China's pockets are deep and all regional states should embrace the opportunities that are available to assist their nations. Clinton Watson tonight reports from the opening ceremony of CELAC in Beijing.
The International Monetary Fund says China is now the largest economy in the world based on purchasing power parity. China also has the largest foreign reserves in the world, and according to Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie, these statistics only confirm what the sub-region had already known, that China was a significant source of investment capital, establishing itself as a worthy economic partner. The Bahamas is not the only country benefiting from China's investment in the region. Jamaica's harbor construction and Guyana's shipbuilding industry are just a few partnerships contributions to our region. CARICOM wants to use its earmarked $3 billion for debt restructuring and financing and budget support. Climate change is also a critical issue the region needs support in tackling.
CARICOM would like to see greater participation of emerging market economies based on legitimacy, fair representation, responsiveness, and flexibility. For in an island nation, there are disparities and differences in development with many islands, which we have to consider. So GDP per capita does not, in our view, adequately reflect those developmental differences.
And despite the billions spent by China, this world superpower isn't resting there. China's president, His Excellency Xi Jinping, outlined that in the years ahead, China will seek to spend even more money to improve trade with its partners.
In the next 10 years, we will work together to raise two-way trade to $500 billion. And China's direct investment in the region will rise to $250 billion.
The Bahamas will host the intersessional meeting of the heads of government of CARICOM on the 26th and 27th of February. During that time, it is the Bahamas' intention to put on the table a major thrust to enhance and develop human capital in the region.
If we do not address the issue of our young people and fix those issues, we all do so at our peril. I go further. I think of this as an obligation not just in the regional and hemispheric context, but throughout the world. The issue of young people, their joblessness, their sense of despair, threatens the very stability of our countries and our democracies.
Mr. Christie told CELAC that the future of the region's economies will be based heavily on the investment in young people, that is through culture, sports, and education. On a separate note, like all of the other heads that spoke, he condemned the terrorist attacks in Paris, France, saying that the Caribbean region stands for peace. Covering the first China CELAC Forum in Beijing, Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Well, a day after engaging in fruitful talks with the President of the People's Republic of China, Prime Minister Perry Christie and his delegation held talks with the Premier of China, His Excellency Li Keqiang. The Prime Minister reaffirmed government's partnership with China, but also solicited support for several projects in the pipeline. He also sought to gain support to have direct flights from China to the Bahamas. And with Bahamar opening in a matter of months, the Prime Minister used the opportunity to encourage new investment. Mr. Christie also lobbied for financing for a new multi-purpose indoor gymnasium. He was encouraged by Premier Li to put together a proposal and submit it to the Chinese embassy in Nassau for review. Mr. Christie also requesting the release of funds from an already approved grant of $8 million to construct a facility for special needs children on Gladstone Road. Premier Li also conveyed his understanding of the urgency of efforts and mechanisms to address climate change in the Bahamas. As such, a memorandum of understanding is expected to be signed tomorrow between Ocean University and BAMSI to provide not only technical support, but learning opportunities through teacher-student exchanges. In concluding, the Chinese premier requested that the Bahamas take stock of its needs, prioritize them, and then present it to the Chinese government for consideration and approval.
In a matter of weeks, Bahamar will accept its first set of guests to the multi-billion-dollar resort property.
Jimmy Swain tonight tells us that after a setback with its planned December 2014 opening, the resort now seems to be on track for a spring launch.
March 27th is the targeted date for the Bahamian Riviera to open its doors. Director of Public Relations Paul Turnquest telling ZNS News that guests will have an opportunity to stay at 3 of the properties: the Bahamar Resort and Casino, Rosewood, and SLX Lugs. We understand that the Grand Hyatt is expected to open its doors on May 1st. The spring opening date hopes to afford guests the opportunity of a luxury stay at the upscale resort. Turnquest said executives are hoping that when doors open in March, guests will experience all that Bahamar has to offer, along with exceeding their expectations. The hotels are also offering a special introductory rate of $350 for the luxe rooms, with a $100 resort credit for bookings by February 22nd for persons staying during March 27 to May 20th. The 4 hotel properties will feature 2,200 rooms. However, Turnquest was not in a position to reveal how many rooms will be available for the March opening. As for staff numbers, Turnquest said the resort continues recruitment and training exercises to meet the demands. Bahamar is planning a series of opening celebrations, including a ribbon-cutting gala and a grand opening schedule for this April and May. Additionally, Bahamar will also kick off its Riviera Summer, which is a 4-month celebration with entertainment and events set for the Memorial Day weekend into late September. Bahamar's Senior Vice President of Administration and External Affairs, Robert Sands, is set to be in China for meetings at this time. The Prime Minister is also in the Far East, and Bahamar is among the areas of discussion with Chinese officials. The resort property was originally slated to open last December, but had to be pushed back to this spring. From the newsroom, Jimmy Swain, ZNS Network News.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.